said in my other videos, Thomas Michael Gilardi doesn't have a birth record, he has a death record. And I ended up becoming Jason Moss, stolen from this actress, Annette, who's now dead, sadly died. And through her contacts that she had in the CIA, Hollywood has a lot of people in the CIA, that she was able to find me. And when the agency discovered that they had been used by her to find me, they punished her. They went up to her in the 1980s and assaulted her sexually. And that happened without the public being aware of it. There was very little accountability in the agency then and now, and she was hurt. And I wondered, after hearing what she'd gone through, what she told me in 1992, was the price that she paid to find me too high? Was it too high? And I was reading on Google about the 450 ladies of the CIA, the women, who have settled a $990,000 lawsuit against the agency for sexual misconduct and assaulting them, because the agency doesn't have accountability. And I thought about reaching out not just to victims of Mkultra and Monarch, but to the people who work in clandestine services. And it's not my business how they run their agency, but it is my business when there's victims, because I've decided to become an advocate for victims everywhere. And I'm asking you to come out and talk. Publicity will save you. You may lose your job. You try to do anything other than going to the public about what's happened to you, they will hurt you. There's that good, bad side of the agency I've been talking about, and I don't know if you want to call it a good side. They're just doing the job that they've been told to do. You may not think them good if they come to you and go to put a gun to your head. But the bad fight me and want to keep the secret because it denies them the opportunity to continue the rape culture, the hidden rape culture, sexual assault rape culture, which is ongoing in the agency. And the only reason I take an interest in their business is because of the fact I am directly affected by the agency's actions, and so is my mother. And I don't want to see future Jasons and Annettes getting lost to each other and sitting on the phone and having to hear war stories of how they hurt each other, only to learn months later that this isn't going to go anywhere, that they're going to be stopped again by that very agency who's showing up to pull the plug on both of them. And if I can prevent further victims, if I can help prevent that, then my life has had some meaning to it, has had some purpose. I'm alone. I don't have anybody in my life. And I don't think it would be, at 42 years old, it may not be a good idea to put a woman in my life. Because what would happen is they would only go after her. The gang stalkers would go after this one. They've learned to look for the weaknesses in people. Find your weak spot, the sensitive weak spot. Then they go after this. And often it's the women in our lives. Women are the mothers, the sisters, the aunts, the daughters, the grandmothers. They're at the backbone of the civilization of the human race. And they're often vulnerable. And there's a lot of emotional issues tied up with having some lady in your life. And so often in my life, I've had to become accustomed to loss and not having, and always going without. That it draws something out of you. whether it be some inner soul of a past life, or whether it be whatever the wisdom is of it, the spiritual stuff people talk about, or it's star seeds or whatever that may be. It does aid you in mind and spirit. You become very much accustomed to going without. You become used to loss. You become used to losing people around you. And you lose, you either go two ways. You either become a drug addict on drugs, an alcoholic, or you become someone who gets spiritual. I get criticized and I get told I'm not being balanced or spiritual making these videos, but in fact, if I'm here at all, be grateful you have me at all. Because if I'm here, then I'm already balanced and spiritual for you. I've got it. Otherwise, I would be out there drinking and doing drugs, lying in a ditch, face down, a drunk, an abuser, a drug addict. It's a conscious choice we have to take, but it's one you have to keep making all the time. You have to keep thinking about it. Or you can end up deviating and take that other course, drinking and drugs. So you have to be thinking. But there are those out there besides the victims of Mkultra and Project Monarch that have worked for the agency. They're people too. And the instant they become sexually assaulted by the agency, they're technically morally no longer working for the agency at all. They're now victims. Your employees are now no more than victims who happen to have badges and employment with the CIA, but they're not employees anymore. They're not colleagues anymore. They're victims. And they need to be helped. And obviously helped out of that agency, because once they've been victimized once, they'll get victimized again and again and again. And if you sign non-disclosure agreements with the CIA, as Mother did, they can take advantage of you there. And they can come in and do what they want to you within those agreements. Because there's no accountability. Okay, I'm not playing games with you. If you've signed non-disclosure agreements with them, you need to go public. Just because nothing's happened in 20 years since you've signed them, that doesn't mean to say it's not going to happen tomorrow. You've just laid a minefield around yourself by signing those agreements, and they'll go after your daughters, your spouses, your assets. They'll go after you whenever they want. They'll come like a thief in the night and get you. You need to come out from behind those agreements if you signed anything like that. And I mean, a non-disclosure agreement can be for any reason, for any of you that ever signed them. It could be for any number of reasons. I mean, if it's life and death about you not talking about something and people could die, you have to really be thinking hard on the moral issues and the ethics of signing non-disclosures with an agency with no accountability, because you just put your neck in the noose. You're waiting. You're on borrowed time. You are on borrowed time. Let me tell you something. You can never guarantee the safety of your family after signing those agreements. No more than that actress, my mother, could guarantee any safety. And her private life was a private hell, believe me. It was a private hell. No one knows. Nobody knows. So help me God, it was a private hell. And it changed her. It changed her. So you need to think about that. If you're in the agency working there, you're not being condemned for being there. But this is going for men too who get victimized there. You need to come out and talk. You need to write to your senators and congressmen, go to the newspapers, write a book, self-publish a book, put it out there. 6 weeks it'll be on the shelves. They can't stop that. They won't arrest you, put you in federal prison or handcuffs, because then it would be acknowledging the fact that you worked for them. That's how it works. Well, I know those agreements say a lot of things about federal charges and prison if you do this and do that. But in truth, if you talked to the public, what happens is they will drop you like a hot brick